My dear fathers and brothers in Jesus Christ, in today's Gospel, we experience that Judas Iscariot, who was tempted by Satan, negotiating with the chief priests. He goes to the chief priest to make a deal with them, and he openly tells them that he will hand Jesus over to them if only they agree to pay him. So the chief priests paid him 30 pieces of silver because Jesus had been a thorn in the side of the Pharisees for a long time. And as we know, it was Passover. So Jesus and his apostles gathered around the table. While they were enjoying their meal, Jesus tells them that one of you will betray me. Imagine the shock that the apostles must have experienced, because Jesus was their father and their friend. They loved Jesus. They left their families and jobs to follow him. And they must have looked at one another, wondering who the betrayer was. Then each of them asked Jesus, "Am I the one, Lord?" And finally, Judas also asks, "It is I, Lord." Then Jesus simply responds, "You have said so." Dear friends, we have come across betrayals in our lives. We have experienced betrayal at various times in our lives. Some betrayals are small and they can be easily forgiven. And other betrayals are life-changing. It will make our lives completely different. And in the introduction to the devout life, our patron St. Francis de Sales beautifully speaks about the nature of temptation, saying that there are three ways in which the temptation occurs. They are: sin is proposed, the person is pleased or displeased with the suggestion, the person either consents or refuses. And in the Gospel we see that Satan enters into Judas and darkness covered him, and through Satan the sin is proposed, that is to betray Jesus. Judas was pleased with the suggestion and he consents to it. We all have temptations, but as long as we take no pleasure in it, we can't be guilty. St. Francis and St. Benedict also had to bear great temptations, that one had to cast himself upon thorns and the other into the snow to overcome the temptation. Nevertheless, they lost nothing of God's grace but grew greatly in it. And when we speak of our patron, even he had temptations. To overcome the temptation, he prayed the prayer called Memorare, and he overcame the temptation. But when we speak of Judas, he did not cast himself upon thorns or onto the snow or into prayer in order to overcome temptation. Rather, he took pleasure in it to betray Jesus and gained some money from the chief priests. And he goes from light to darkness. He allowed darkness to overcome him completely, since he went away from Christ, who is light. We too have betrayed Jesus and those people around us so many times. Let us examine and see how we felt when we betrayed others whom we loved. And let us not choose the way of Judas, going from light to darkness, but let us choose the way of Jesus, who is light, and remain always in the light. Amen.